I could not be, and I know the President could not be, prouder of our men and women in uniform. I also want to thank the Iranian authorities for their cooperation and quick response. These are always situations which, as everybody here knows, have an ability, if not properly guided, to get out of control. And I'm appreciative for the quick and appropriate response of the Iranian authorities.
All right, where to begin? Welcome back. Joining us now, Jonathan T. Gilliam, former Navy SEAL and FBI agent, president of U.S. Continued Service, and the host of The Experts. And General Paul E. Vallely, retired Major General in the U.S. Army and chairman of Stand Up America. General, let me start with you, and let me ask you, when you hear John Kerry thanking the Iranians in response to releasing them after keeping them overnight, after making a propaganda video of sorts, which I'll show in a few minutes here. What's your thoughts?
Well, I think it's another embarrassing moment for the United States and for John Kerry to be politically correct with the Iranians. In those waters, if we were off course, our Navy boats, they could have waved us back and gave us some kind of warning, but Iran wanted to make a statement. There's no doubt about that. And when I see our young Navy people with their hands up over their heads, and I see the young naval woman they made or put a scarf on, to me that's an embarrassment. Iran likes it. It just goes to show you again that Kerry's just way off base in just about anything he's doing for the United States.
And Jonathan, I want you to hear, before we go to you, let's play the video that was made by Iranian TV. Aired on Iranian TV, made by the Iranian Republican Guard who captured the sailors, and let's watch.
It was a mistake. That was our fault, and we apologize for our mistake. The Iranian behavior was fantastic while we were here. We thank you very much for your hospitality and your assistance.
You're a former Navy SEAL, of course. What goes through your mind when you hear that and see that?
Well, let's start off with John Kerry, first of all. When there's something like the release of these pictures with these sailors, being held, that's just propaganda. And he always plays into the propaganda of Iran for some strange reason. Then when you have this audio or video of this sailor, you can't get any closer to actual prisoners of war than the way that they're being treated. Now, they may not be treated in a harsh way, but being paraded in front of a camera so that you can say that, America was wrong and Iranians are good, it's no different than anything we've seen in the past with Iraq or back in Vietnam.
Yeah, General.
So it's ridiculous.
General, if again, as you pointed out, they were trying to make a statement, I guess, on the day of the State of the Union and embarrass the President of the United States. Is this against the Geneva Conventions, the way they made this video and paraded them around in a video?
Well, the Geneva Conventions don't seem to mean much anymore to anybody, including the Iranians and others. So I don't know how you would interpret that. I'm not sure it makes any difference, Steve. The key thing is, as Jonathan said, they're making a statement. It's propaganda, how to put the United States down, how to prop up Iran in the eyes of the world as a global hegemonic power. So for Kerry to bend and fold into this, it just shows you how naive he is and how naive he's been on the Iran deal as the other part of the ploy here by the Iranians.
Jonathan, as you watched the State of the Union last night, the President, it was announced beforehand that he would not mention the sailors being held overnight, and at that point we didn't know for how long. We were told only overnight, and it turned out that way. But nonetheless, he did not acknowledge those 10 men and women being held by Iran, nor did he even mention of course, the 4 prisoners, including Pastor Abedini and the journalists and others who have been held for years. If you're sitting there, you know that your brothers and sisters are being held, and the President, the Commander-in-Chief, is giving a major speech with the spotlight of the world upon him, and he doesn't even acknowledge it. How does that sit?
It's funny. You have the general on, and you have myself. I was a junior officer in the military, but we both understand the politics of what's going on with these guys being held over there. But I think the general would probably also agree with me and that, like he said about the Geneva conference or convention, you know, how people don't even follow that anymore. The fact is, I'm not even sure why we have a State of the Union address anymore. That was a painful speech to sit through, and it, as you just pointed out, skipped completely over something that was immediate and something that was of interest, of great interest to the American people, and he didn't even cover that or say anything about it. And what that shows is we're dealing with people that don't understand the reality of foreign policy, and they don't understand the reality of leadership. I heard somebody say last night that the president actually took part in writing this speech. Whatever happened to people like Ronald Reagan, where he either wrote the speech or sat down with a speechwriter and crafted it? I mean,
well, you know, Ronald Reagan didn't play a lot of basketball and golf. You know, what could I tell you? I mean, I don't know. He's too busy. He's too busy. General, summing up 30 seconds. Could Iran do anything that will result in the wrath of this administration?
Well, they can do anything they want to, and they know it because we have very weak leadership throughout our federal government, and particularly in the State Department and the executive branch in the White House. So they're going to push the envelope everywhere they can, any way they can, to demean the United States, and within a couple of weeks get $150 billion released to them so they can continue
just
to
insane.
do more.
Just insane. General, glad you're feeling well. Always good to see you both. Up next, former House Majority Leader Tom DeLay.